Well, this is James Jackson with my overall reaction or reflection for our course in this video taking the place of quizzes in our intensive class or our intensive for cultural context and ministry. I suppose my greatest aha moment was when the DeWolf video was shown, and the DeWolf video talked about the slave trade ports in Ghana and the dungeons that were used to warehouse the slaves, the African slaves, and the church that was on top of the dungeon, and the fact that the Africans would be baptized in the name of Jesus on top of those dungeons in the church, and also that the Africans, their names would be taken away from them, and they would be given slave names, and just how humiliating and how emotionally traumatic that must have been for the African men and women and children who were at those slave ports. Another thing that really deepened my understanding about what our people went through was when in the video there was the indication that a slave trader had traded rum for a male slave and 6 handkerchiefs for a female slave. And I suppose that the 6 handkerchiefs and the female slave have really stuck in my spirit that the life of an individual was reduced to nothing more than 6 handkerchiefs. I wanted to go out to Walmart there in Marion and buy 6 handkerchiefs and bring them back to class and just kind of process through what I had heard from the video. And I still believe that I will do that at some point here in Indianapolis at my church to perhaps help my congregation understand, as I now understand, just how deep the slave trade and the whole slave experience is or was. We talked about the meta narratives that we often experience in our society. And an aha moment for me from that video and from some of the discussions that we had in class that some of the students who were white didn't seem to really think it was that deep. And I didn't really think of it as black people being in the down position and white people being in the up position. And as a result, a lot of white people don't really feel like they have anything to do with what went on back then. My suspicion was that white people were still accountable to do something to help black people get to where black people need to be. And of course, um, when the Tim Wise video was shown, it reinforced what I believed. And he indicated that at one point in his video, he indicated that if you were to be hired as a CEO of a company and you had the responsibility for the company's profits for the future, but you also had the responsibility for the company's debt that had accumulated before you were hired. And if you responded to that by saying, well, I didn't accumulate that debt, so that debt is not my responsibility, he indicated that you would be escorted out of the building by security. And that really impacted my thinking and reinforced my beliefs about that. That there's a great debt owed to black people in America. And there's a great debt owed to black people in other parts of the world who experienced the whole slave process. And I don't think that people often think of it that way, but the cultural context of ministry class helped me to understand that there's more work to be done to make people aware that the debt has not been paid. And an apology certainly is appreciated, but along with the apology, there needs to be some kind of financial investment to correct what is wrong in our society even now today. So that was a great aha moment for me out of the video, those two videos in particular, the D Wolf video, the Deep South slave trade, and the Tim Wise video was very, very powerful for me. Also, in the class, I would have to say that the discussions that we had about up and down positions and the concept of metacognition and why we think the way we think, and to hear some of what some of my classmates for that week were saying, and those who were white were saying about the slave trade and about where black people are in society. And some of the classmates were saying how, they've lived in poverty and so on and so forth. But as the class progressed, and to hear more and more about why things are why they are, excuse me, and also why people think the way they think was very refreshing, very informative, and very encouraging. So my overall assessment of the class is just tremendous. I'm glad that I took the class. It has heightened my awareness that even though slavery is over, I understand that our nation has been racialized, and that there's a lot of work that we have to do to make people aware of this and to do all we can to fix it. I'm James Jackson, and God bless you.